Thank you. It's good to see everybody. It's good to be in Miami. Josh,
Hello.
great to see you. Founder of Apollo Global Management, founder of HBSE Sports and Entertainment, owner of the Washington Commanders, the Philadelphia 76ers, the New Jersey Devils, part owner of Crystal Palace, and founder of 26 North. We've got a lot going on.
I do.
You've got a lot going on. And so let's start with HBSE. And when you first got into the sports business, started with the Sixers at $287 million. And then a few years later, the New Jersey Devils and Prudential Center for $330. And then, so decade later, here we are at about $6 billion between those two assets. And then total assets under your purview, basically roughly $13 billion with the acquisition of the Washington Commanders. How were the early days when you started off?
So first of all, great to be here. Rob Lowe, tough act to follow, but I'll do my best. Yeah, look, I mean, obviously, I grew up in D.C., but I had moved to Philly, and so I had watched the 1982 NBA championship game, Sixers winning the finals, the city coming together, so I had a passion for it. But what I found was that my day job at Apollo, buying companies, making investments, like really helped me in sports. And so I had this passion for it. But when we bought the Sixers, they were a story brand. They had lost their way a bit. They had disconnected with the city. They were 27th in revenue in the NBA. The NBA was going through a lockout, and it was just after the financial crisis. And you know, I used a play out of the Apollo playbook in terms of, you know, buying well, buying cheaply, buying a storied asset. And so we rolled up our sleeves. We bought the team for $287 million, and then we reconnected with the city. And revenues that were 27th at that point in the league were about 6th or 7th, thanks to your work and also the team at HBSE and really the city of Philly, which is an incredible sports town. And so that really worked out well. Moved from there, really enjoyed it. I obviously enjoyed the passion of being a steward for the city and winning and trying to change the Sixers' trajectory. They now obviously are a very winning franchise. Haven't delivered the NBA title yet, but working on it. and in 2013, the New Jersey Devils, which also had a number of Stanley Cups to its name. There was a situation where they ran out of money. They had built the Prudential Center, which is in Newark. It's between Philly and New York. It's an amazing location. New Jersey is a very good market, and we were able to do what, in essence, pay down the banks. In essence, do a distressed for control transaction, which again is a private equity name, and so bought this great arena, great franchise for $330 million, and ultimately they were, you know, bottom of the league in revenues, and you know, brought in a great team, great management, and reconnected the Devils to the city, reconnected them to sponsors, built a top 10 concert business and top 8 venue, and now all of a sudden the Devils have risen in revenues by a lot, turned profitable, and so again, you know, sort of for me, sports has been the triple play where I've been enabled to win and compete and be around the greatest players in the world and be a steward for these great cities that are also in need a little bit. But at the same time, values have risen a lot, and so it's been an amazing thing for me personally, and also business-wise for our investors.
And you talk about the people, how it's so important, not only the people within the organization, but your partner in the HBSE world, David Blitzer, who you've been with. You have a very unique partnership in the world of sports.
Yeah, look, as in investing, you win with the best people, you win with amazing culture, you know, you win by delivering excellence. In the investment business, it's about returns. In sports, it's about winning and cultivating cities, and obviously it comes back to people, and certainly having a great partnership. It's a total 1 + 1 = 3 with David, even though obviously Blackstone and 26 North mix it up, but we've been amazing partners, and I think that we also have great people led by Tad, right? Led by you, so thank you for doing that. And it's about motivating. You win on the field, on the court, on the ice by having great people off the court and off the ice and off the field. And so that, and you win on the business side by having great people. So very similar to the investment world in that way.
early days of HBSE, you really created incredible value. 287 million on the Sixers to 4.3 billion today, 330 on Devils and Peru to 1.5 billion today. Let's talk about the Commanders. This summer was very exciting. It also is the largest purchase in the history of sports and entertainment at $6 billion. But tell us about your view and what you saw in the Commanders in the NFL.
Yeah, so I joked that paying 60 times EBITDA, is, my credentials as a value investor have been destroyed, been diminished, but I don't really think so. I mean, obviously, I grew up in the city of Washington. Some of my earliest memories were, Washington football, walking into RFK, Coach Gibbs, the 3 Super Bowl championships. And at that point, Washington was the number. Everyone talks about Dallas being America's team. It wasn't America's team. For years and years, Washington was America's team. It was #1 in revenues. And I understood that power. And so I also have been blown away, and I had studied it, but I've been blown away by the power of the NFL. Obviously UEFA, the Premier League, which I'm a part of, the NBA, the NHL, are amazing sports leagues, but the NFL is dominant in terms of what it's doing, in terms of its absolute franchise here in the U.S. So I was amazed to learn that 125 people on average watch the Super Bowl. And then just before Usher showed up, there were 200 million people, plus or minus, watching Super Bowl. That's 60% of America, literally. And so it just shows you the dominance. 92 of the top 100 programs on TV are NFL football games. The Super Bowl was the most viewed program since the moonwalk in 1969. And so it shows you like how important all these live sports content is, and in particular NFL content is, to the media companies. And so if you talk to the media companies, if you talk to the tech companies, anyone who's interested in live entertainment, right? Sports content is by far the most important thing. It's globalizing. Everyone now can watch the NBA. Sometimes we have more people in China watching the Sixers than we do in Philly or in the US. And so the globalization of sports content, the ability to watch it over the top, and its ability to attract advertising dollars and subscribers is unique. And so it's become a critical part of the ecosystem. And so that tailwind is driving sports values across the board up. And it's if you look at Forbes or if you look at the trades, the NFL, I'll use that as an example. Buffalo traded for 1.4. Carolina traded 5 or 6 years later for 2.3, 2.4. Then you had Denver a couple years ago at mid-4s, and now Washington Commanders at 6. So I think that even though we set a record I didn't want to set, and by the way, it's now been topped by Man United, so thankfully we're in the #2 slot as all-time highest price. I think people will look back at the purchase of the Washington Commanders and say, wow, that was a bargain. He bought a dominant, top 3, top 5 franchise for now what looks like a great price. And obviously we're doing the same magic that we did, in the Sixers and in the Devils with the Commanders now. And obviously we're starting off behind in terms of revenues, but we're quickly catching up. We're selling out. Sponsors are coming back. We sold out every game last year. Suite sales are up. Everything is kind of trending in the right direction because we're treating the city, we're treating the stadium as if it's our house, and we're making people feel welcome, and we're changing the narrative around football. Commanders have not won, but we're changing that narrative, and now it's on us to win. We just made a number of changes in the GM spot and the coach spot, and so there's pressure building on us to deliver, but the city is believing, and we need to keep doing our job on behalf of the city. And I think if you look at sports, and it's the same for European football, the Premier League, where I'm a partner with Steve Parrish, and you treat them as if you're stewards for these cities and you're trying to win, you're trying to do the right thing, the economics take care of themselves. There's a lot of tailwind in sports, and that's why you're seeing these multiples change from traditional multiples to more of growth multiples. And I think that's here to stay, and you'll see that value proposition in sports even going up more.
And the great thing about the Commanders, I know not only is there such value that's being created, but it also is a very personal, very emotional purchase for you. You're a DC guy, and there was something else there on top of that deal.
Yeah, so I mean, literally, I remember being 8 years old and walking in RFK Stadium, and obviously, I mean, it's my earliest memory. I remember the Commanders then. I won't say the name. Washington football, kind of losing to the Miami Dolphins, but then winning 3 Super Bowls. So, like, the ability to take a franchise that has lost its way a bit and restore it for the city. I must say, I've got a lot of old friends saying, "Hey, remember me?" And asking for tickets. But it's really unique and heartwarming. And one of the great things about sports is it's a great investment, but also it's a lot of fun and it brings people together. And DC, Philly, Newark, South London, these are all cities that need help. They're great cities, they're amazing cities, but there's a lot of income inequality. There's the traditional problems you have as a city. And so our ability to help these cities is amazing. And in Washington, obviously, we're looking to find and build a new home. That's a massive undertaking. In Philly, as Tad knows, we're in the middle of it. We're trying to get approval to build a new stadium in Philly. And so what you also get with sports in terms of investing is this ability to create this massive platform that brings people together, and you kind of do well by doing good. So if you start with the premise that your job is to help the city, and you think about it that way, the economics tend to work out. Everyone wants to do business with you. And the stadiums themselves are political. They're complicated to get done, but once you get them done, you have a massive area that you can help lift. And that's what we're trying to do in Philly, and that's what we're going to ultimately try to do in Washington as well.
It's the lifeblood not only of franchise, but how you interact with the community and how you serve the community in that respect.
Even though most of the sports now are media companies, right? So if you look at the Washington Commanders' revenues, 70% of it's media. But the live part of it, the ability to experience that content together, and for the people online to see you do it, whether over cable or over the air, that is what the magic is. And so the live experience, even though it's a declining percentage of the revenues, is very important to the overall ecosystem. It's the only thing that, if you know the score of the Man United Crystal Palace game, you probably aren't going to be as interested. Maybe watch the highlights. If you're watching it live, it's a shared experience that you have that's global. And so that's a really important part, and that's what our job is, to put that show on, make everyone feel super welcome and engaged.
Apollo, the first stage in your career, built to one of the true global success stories in the financial worlds, and built HBSE into this powerhouse now, one of the top 5 empires out there. And now you're looking at it and you're building a new company, 26 North, an amazing platform. Tell us about that and how the differences and similarities between building that company and building HBSE.
Yes, look, I retired in May of 21, and a lot of people say, look, why, you were blessed. My dad was first in his generation to go to college. My mom, teacher in the Philly high schools, Temple University, 2-year degree. Why do all this? And I guess the answer is I'm unfortunately a sick individual. I like building amazing organizations, amazing cultures, organizations that stand for excellence. Some people like golf. I don't like golf. I like doing this. And so I felt that I was uniquely blessed in terms of my, my life experiences as an investor, my ability to access capital from institutions, and my ability to build a team that is, kind of as good or better than any team in the industry, and deploy that in a much more aligned way against investing than I had done throughout my whole career. So private equity, credit, and insurance, an integrated platform. And I feel like we're bringing a lot of talent and a lot of alignment and excellence and great people against a much smaller capital base. So I'm shocked, but we're at 16 billion. But we're limiting the size of our funds, and all of us, including myself, are incentivized on the investment returns, on creating alpha. So in sports, it's about winning. Everything else is secondary. In investing, it's all about alpha. and our job is to generate alpha. And if I generate alpha, I pay the same fees as the investors. The team makes less cash and they own the upside, and it's going quite well. And so it's very exciting. It's a lot of work. I'm working like crazy, but it's what I like to do, and I'm having fun with it.
I can attest that you're working like crazy. There's no question. The great thing you always talk about is your principles remain the same. It's about the people. It's about what you're building. It's about how they believe.
Look, I think team and culture win in sports. Team and culture win with investing. Strategy is important, but people eat strategy for breakfast. So I think obviously you need to be differentiated. You need to have a strategy that sets you apart, that's different. But at the end of the day, you win with the best people. And so my job now is to attract, motivate, retain, and ultimately hold accountable the best people. And so, obviously when you're younger, you're in it, you're doing it all. As you move forward in your career, it's about attracting that talent and keeping them all motivated, but holding them accountable.
I think we've just been waved off. We're not going to filibuster
Yes.
for the rest of the time. So thank you. It was great.
It's great to be here.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it very much.